welcome in our good buddy Kyle Madson, who was actually here Friday with KC
in the building,
and didn't get to talk a little bit about this because
we spent 4 hours
broke late
talking about 49ers and what they should do with Trey Lance as far as keeping him and developing him and saying, look, I'd keep him in the fold and maybe in the offseason, then you figure out what to do. And but I definitely would have him here. And 20 minutes later, he was gone.
Outie.
I sent the guys a text like when that alert came in. It wasn't even like updating them, just more so pissed off because like we just literally, like Casey said, spent 4 hours on the Niners. It's just now you're gonna send this text out.
So I told Chatty House this at the break, but I'm telling you guys now. So we do the show. I get to my car. I throw my car in reverse, and as I start to back out, I get the text from Jesse that Trey Lance has been traded. So I have to pull back into the parking space to update my pre-written newser on Trey Lance being traded with Cowboys and Schefter and 4th round pick. And then I had to write another thing off of that. Yeah, man. There's a lot. A lot of work getting done in the 1320 parking lot.
Very nice. We haven't really touched on that component of it, the 4th round pick and return. All things considered, that's not a bad return, is it?
It's wildly more than I thought they were going to get.
Right.
I was serious. I was genuinely ready for it to be like a conditional 6th round pick that can become a 5th if he starts X amount of games or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's really what I was thinking they would get. And so for them to get a 4th is wild. And especially when it was Dallas. You look at Dallas as Dak Prescott is cemented as a starter. Dak's their guy, right? At least you think. Dak's their guy. Cooper Rush, perfect backup. Not going to rock the boat. Not good enough to push Dak, but good enough to win a couple games if Dak's out. And he's been around. Perfect backup. And now Trey Lance is there. He's QB3 again. So I'm going, man, the Cowboys had to have offered something substantial here. And then it's a 4th. Like, it's not good. Don't get it twisted. This is not good for the 49ers. The 49ers messed up. They did it bad. This is a poor investment. But all things considered, like you said, Damian, to get a 4th when it looked like 24 hours before that, nobody was answering the phone about Trey Lance, that's kind of nuts to me.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to get a 4th. I remember way back, I don't know, the beginning of the season, I was like, yo, I'm only trading him if I get a 1st or a 2nd. That clearly was never going to happen.
Kenny, the GM, has always been a really interesting character on this show.
To be consistent and be fair, I wouldn't have traded him. So
that's true. You've been adamant about that. Yep.
There's that. I wouldn't have traded him, but clearly the market didn't dictate that he was going to get anything close to that. No. And for them to get a 4th, like you said, it doesn't fix all that was them trading up to go get him, but it's a higher return than you ever anticipated, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a tough line to walk because it's like that's nice compared to a conditional 6th or 7th, but compared to 3 firsts, like it's not great.
Kyle, given the fact that Trey Lance didn't really play last year, and the 49ers went to the NFC Championship, and obviously we'll see what happens this year. Mm-hmm. Is there any reason to, like, I don't, how would you rate the Trey Lance era? Like, as it pertains to Trey Lance though, but as it pertains to the San Francisco 49ers?
The years that Trey Lance was on the team, you get probably a B+ or A-. You went to 2 NFC title games, but the Trey Lance, the team and the bits that involve Trey Lance, it's an F. That's
but
so
how
it's
do you,
two separate things.
But do you have to separate them? I guess is the question I was trying to get to is, do you have to separate what the team did with the Trey Lance era? Because ultimately you're trying to win football games, and that's what they've done.
I think they're watch this big word, inextricably tied, because
Kyle, Walt, Frazier, Madson.
Yeah, no big deal.
What, say it again.
You think inextricably?
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Don't ask me to spell it.
No, it's fine.
They're tied together no matter what, because the like I said, it just big picture, like B+ or A-. You're going to consecutive NFC title games. That's really hard to do. You were a Jaquiski Tart drop away from going to one Super Bowl, and I think they would have beat the Bengals, but that's a different conversation.
Another one we should
Oh, good.
I literally said that to get Kenneth.
Very good.
But no, they were a Jaquiski Tart drop away from maybe going to that Super Bowl, and then they were, a question mark of Brock Purdy's health away, and they got beat last year. I'm not trying to, but if Brock Purdy's healthy, maybe that game goes differently, right? But as an organization, they're in a really good spot. But at the same time, I think there's people looking at this going, okay, that's nice, but let's take the Trey Lance trade away. Now they're adding something with the 12th pick. Maybe it's Mac Jones, but they have a 12th pick, and then they have 2 other first-round picks that they're going to, and another third-round pick, that they're going to be able to bolster this roster with. And maybe what they use those picks on would have gotten them over the hump to that point. And so that's why I don't think you can like say, hey, this has been a rousing success despite the trade, because there's a chance they could have been more successful without it.
But and I know you're making an argument. I understand that. But that's all just an assumption. They could have drafted 2 bums in the first round.
Well,
and given their history,
could have drafted AJ Jenkins in the first round,
or Solomon Thomas.
AJ Jenkins and Solomon Thomas are not bothering anybody.
They're
We knew what
not.
you guys meant.
They're
You didn't
not.
have to do that.
But
Here's another thing for you. Like,
by the way.
we like to do this in sports. We have the outcome of an equation, and we change a few variables, but we allow the outcome of the equation to stay the same. Where you have this, if you use them on other picks, right? Well, you still wind up with Brock Purdy at the end of the draft. Great. But is Brock Purdy your backup quarterback, or do you go get the Sam Darnold type guy to be your backup quarterback? And then what was the order of events? Trey Lance goes down, Jimmy Garoppolo. So when Jimmy Garoppolo goes down, you're not going to, Trey Lance isn't in there. So you have Jimmy as your starter. And your backup is, are we going Brock Purdy, or are we going the Sam Darnold type? The point I'm getting at is, does Brock Purdy even get there? Like, does Brock Purdy even get the opportunity to start?
Right.
And we don't know. Like, that's the thing in all of this. We have no idea. We don't know what Trey Lance would be if he wasn't hurt. To me, all we can judge is, are the 49ers winning football games or not?
That's how I feel.
And they are.
That's the thing I've tried to really get to in all this, is you see Ryan Clark and Louis Riddick, like, someone needs to be held accountable. The heads need to roll. Like, for what, dude? They're winning games. Like, that's this is a bottom line business. You hear that all the time. This is a bottom line business. And if the 49ers go win a Super Bowl this year or next year or the year after that, with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in the seats that they are currently in, all is forgiven. Nobody's going to sit here and, as they're hoisting a Lombardi trophy, going, yeah, but what if the Trey Lance thing had been different? Like, no one's going to do that. So yeah, it's a huge mess. It was a disaster and a swing and a miss. They're still a Super Bowl favorite this year. End of story. Right. And to just go back to 2021 for a minute, if they had stayed at 12 and drafted Mac Jones, there would have been riots. Or if they had drafted Mac Jones third.
Redfin passwords.
Actually, no, I take that back. It wouldn't have been Redfin passwords. The Redfin was coming out if you moved up to 3 to go get Mac Jones when you could have just got him at 12. That's what would have got him fired.
So they traded up. They took a swing to try and find a franchise quarterback. It didn't work, and yet they lucked into, I'm going to call it luck, because your last pick of the draft is not like, okay, here's this guy on our board. We've researched and we were hoping he would fall. Like, nah, man, they took a flyer and it happened to work. Yeah. But that's good. Like, good on you. But now they have to get over the hump. If they never win a Super Bowl, if the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch tenure does not end with at least one Lombardi trophy, it will all come back to the Trey Lance trade and what a disaster that was for them.
Yes and no. I think they got away with it. I think they got away with it. Now, I agree with you. It's luck getting Brock Purdy. But even then, Like the whole thing with Trey Lance is more so.
See, even that doesn't feel fair to me. Like it's luck.
A little
That's
bit.
their bag. Like to me, that I don't know
was the
why
last
these
pick of the
two
draft.
seem to suck at the top of the draft, with the exception of Nick Bosa, which was one of the great.
Wow.
That's
And Brandon
probably
Ayuk.
That's also a bit of a misnomer as well.
fill me in.
I've talked about it before. I mean, Nick
You just
Bosa,
labeled you just named like two guys.
Solomon Thomas, AJ Jenkins wasn't their guy, but Solomon Thomas was bad. McGlinchey was all right. McGlinchey just got $70 million from somebody.
McGlinchey's a good player, dude.
Yeah, he's
Don't
fine.
let the Grant Cohns of the world tell you otherwise.
Well, it wasn't just it wasn't just Grant Cohn. Mike McGlinchey was getting murdered 2 years ago.
He was getting dragged by everyone all the time.
Absolutely.
He's a good player.
He's solid. Like I said, somebody just gave him $70 million, and he was too good and made too much money for the Niners to bring him back. So there's that. But I tell me if I'm missing any, Kyle. But their first round picks are Solomon Thomas,
Reuben Foster,
McGlinchey, Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, Javon Kinlaw, and Trey Lance. So they hit on probably three of those. They're like 50%.
So so what about like second and third rounds too? I consider that top of the draft.
Debo's a second rounder.
Okay, so is
Fred Warner's a third rounder.
Where's Trey Sermon at?
He's a third rounder. But this is always my point though. Like people look at their failures in those rounds like nobody else has failed. Like the draft is filled with failures in the first 3 rounds from every team. If somebody gets 2 good ball players in one draft, they had a phenomenal draft.
So my point is, if we're being critical of the way that they draft, I don't think it's fair to call Brock Purdy luck.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Last pick of the draft or not?
Yeah, you made the pick. You made the pick.
We get
You
inconsistent.
didn't have to make the pick. You made the pick. You get credit for that. I agree with that. That's fine. Absolutely.
Well, I rest my case then.
That's fair.
All of a sudden, I'm Captain Saba, John Lynch, and Kyle Shanahan. I don't know when this started happening. I was all over these dudes 2 years ago. All of a sudden I'm their biggest fan.
Speech. That's when it changed.
They've made mistakes for sure. Like but A, every team does. And B, they've made a lot of really good moves. Fred Warner, George Kittle. They acquired Trent Williams, who pound for pound might be the best player in the NFL.
Yeah.
For a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
A future 5th round pick or a future 3rd round pick, I guess. But like they've done a lot of things right. They've also done a lot of things wrong. But that is every single team. Every single one does things right and they do things wrong. Mm-hmm. Is there a clock on Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch? Like, yeah, man, you got to win one eventually. Mm-hmm. But given where the 49ers were in 2014, where they were in 2015, where they were in 2016, given where they're at now, the organization will take that. If you're contending every year, year in and year out, the organization's going to take that. And maybe you're frustrated as a fan that they're not hoisting Lombardi trophies, and you're frustrated that your guy Trey Lance didn't get a shot, or you're frustrated that they didn't draft this guy in the 2nd round that you thought you should, or whatever it is. Like, I get it, but nobody's getting fired over this. At least not yet. They're a Super Bowl favorite right now.
And do you know
how many teams would fire their coach today if Kyle Shanahan became available?
And you can guarantee that you'd go to 2 or 3 of the next 4 NFC Championship games. You think the Lions wouldn't do that? You don't think the Saints, the Falcons, all these, the Cowboys ain't even been to the NFC Championship game in 30 years. Yeah. You think they wouldn't give for that? Come on, man. Let's stop. And TC, he asked me, he says, did you think the 49ers did anything wrong in this situation? And it's called whatever glasses you want. If you want to, the only thing that you could say, in my opinion, they did wrong is they didn't, and this is debatable if it was right or wrong. They didn't start Trey Lance from week 1, the year he was drafted.
I agree.
Now, the reason why that's debatable is I doubt he was ready. You had a team that was trying to win a Super Bowl, and you'd probably be punting on that opportunity to win a Super Bowl in hopes that this guy would be ready later in the year or next year. There's no guarantee any of that would happen. Absolutely no guarantee. There's no guarantee. We don't know if Trey Lance is good or not. He might not be a good football player. We don't know. I think he is. I hope he is. I like Trey Lance a whole lot. But we don't know that. We have no idea. So to me, that's the only possible mistake is that they didn't start him from week one. The second year he got hurt. People talking about run him up the middle, run up the middle. Every single time it happened last year, I brought it up. How many times did I bring up somebody sitting in the pocket and was this close to getting their leg snapped? Like, that's football. That's what happens. They were like, oh, don't run him. Don't run him. He needs to be a pocket passer. Jesse, that play that Tua had against the 49ers where they just folded him like a pretzel. Could have easily had an Alex Smith in the pocket. Like, that's what happens. So this whole thing that Kyle Shanahan got him hurt, he shouldn't have ran him up the middle. It gave more of a possibility of him getting hurt. You guys aren't watching football. You're not. There's people who stand in the pocket, like I just said, who get folded every play, it seems like, damn near. So that just happens. He got injured, and when he got injured today, the better player stepped in and did what he was supposed to do, and they got the better player. So you guys can speak on that, whether you disagree with I think the 49ers did something wrong or not, but what exactly did they do wrong in this situation to anybody out there, if we're being real?
Let me propose another question, because to me, this is all great conversation to have because this is what we do. We talk. But to me, it's just no emotion involved. It's more simplistic to me.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Shanahan was presented with options. Who gives us the best opportunity to win a Super Bowl? The answer was never Trey Lance. That's the problem. The answer was never Trey Lance. The year that they were willing to give Trey Lance a shot, and this isn't a knock on Trey Lance, but it's kind of what you just explained right there. In my opinion, is we're so good that any bumps we have early in the season with him, we'll be able to get through. And by the time we get to 12, 13, 14 into the postseason, we might have a quarterback finding his groove for the first time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we never got there. We never got to that point. We're stuck with that the monsoon Chicago game.
Mm-hmm.
And was it the next
like
week?
Quarter.
Yeah,
like
week
half
2.
a quarter.
And that's it.
His first
That's
drive,
all
yeah.
we have. And people were killing him after the monsoon game. It's really okay for everyone involved when evaluating Trey Lance to go, dude, we don't know. We just don't know. The problem is the I don't knows have been going on for so long because he's not getting an opportunity to play football.
Yeah.
At some point, it's like, hey, we need a quarterback. We need a young quarterback. We want to develop a young quarterback. Yeah, we need one that has played football in the last 5 years. And right now, that's not Trey Lance. And it feels like, because of the way Kyle laid it out earlier with the Dallas Cowboys, it might not be Trey Lance ever.
Mm-hmm.
And his career may end before it ever gets a chance to get started. I'm not changing my tune. When the day the 49ers made that trade, we took the air. Trey Lance is the guy they're going. It's a risk. It feels like a massively high reward risk. This makes so much sense. It's not Mac Jones. We never thought it was Mac Jones. I wondered briefly if it was Justin Fields, but it never felt like there was any buzz. It felt like Trey Lance was the guy from jump, and I loved it. It didn't work. I can't change my tune because it didn't work out. I thought that was the move to make. They made it. It failed. But you still managed to land on your feet with Brock Purdy, and you're assuming you get this little contract extension done. You're fighting for a championship this year.
Yeah.
The question I have I'm gonna just shout out TC here. What do you want Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch fired? Like, is that what the goal is here?
I think
You can acknowledge.
Real quick, I think he would say if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, they should be fired.
That's insane.
That's what he said on. I know.
That's
That's what he said on.
that's it's just not. It's not. If that's what you want as a fan, I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. Do your thing. Like, that is why we do this. But if you're looking realistically, organizationally, that's just not on the table. That's not a thing that's on the table at all.
Nor should it be.
It's not. Now, if they fall flat this year, if they go 8-9, and Brock Purdy regresses heavily,
yeah,
and they're going into next year with, because Sam Darnold's a free agent, and they're going into next year with Brock Purdy and then you might be, because if they're going 8-9 and they're picking in the middle of the draft, are you trading 3 more first round picks to try and move up to get your guy again? That's where things get really dicey. But I mean, you gotta let the season play out first.
And here's the other crazy thing about that, real quick. You're listening to ESPN 1320 KFM, West Sacramento, an Odyssey station. Below Casey is brought to you by Sky River Casino.
Very good. Look at that. That's good stuff.
I said 13 again on Friday.
Did you really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
ESPN
y'all weren't
13, baby.
That's cold. That's cold. I don't know why that read gets you.
I don't know.
I don't know why that read gets you so tripped up.
I have no idea, man. I'm tripping like LMA out here. Or Jacquees, the remix, either one.
No. 420 hit of the day coming up on 102.5 today.
Right. All of it still is like, I know that's not how it works, where you can't get mad at them for that. But people will say, you traded Trey Lance or he didn't work out and you went 8-9, like you should be fired. Like, who's to say they wouldn't have gone 8-9 with Trey Lance? Like, you know,
well, I don't
like
think
they always
if they had, it would be in the same spot, is the thing.
Exactly. Like which comes to what we're always talking about. You got to win. It don't matter if Trey Lance is there or not. Like this new, well, he better win a Super Bowl thing. He's gone to the NFC Championship game twice, and people are not happy. Yes, he already knows, regardless if he kept Trey Lance or shipped him like he did the other day, he has to win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
You know what I love the most, though? Because just 49ers win the Super Bowl. Okay. You know what the next thing is? You won one Super Bowl with that roster? With Nick Bosa and George Kittle and Fred Warner. I'm sorry. Is Trent Williams not the best player at his position in the entire league? And you won one Super Bowl? Oh, the conversation changes quick. People just don't like Kyle Shanahan. It's really, that's all it is.
The guys like TC.
John Lynch was broadcasting games before he became the general manager, and I don't think people like that either.
No.
John Lynch is like the Queen of England, dude. He doesn't do anything. Come on. Adam Peters is right.
No, he doesn't.
We all know it.
He doesn't.
The TC,
the vice president.
There's other people, out there that believe that Kyle Shanahan sabotaged Trey Lance on purpose. Like, they're just never going to, like, there's nothing that the 49ers could do.
Yeah, that's what they did. That's what they did. They said, we're going to trade 3 first-round picks, and then what we're going to do, we're going to screw this kid's life up. And then you know what we're going to do? We're going to get a real quarterback with the last pick of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do. That's the plan.
We're going to break Timmy's foot.
If Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch had the foresight to do that and executed that successfully, they are the best head coach GM combo ever. If they had the foresight to go, we're trading 3 first-round picks to trade this kid, we're going to sabotage him, then we're going to get his replacement with the last pick in the draft the next year, and then we're going to trade him for a 4th-round pick. Oh, well, never giving him a shot. We're going to do that on purpose. And they did it. Snaps, bro. You did it.
Snaps.
It's funny, man. I love TC to death. He is the angriest 49ers fan I ever met.
But he's a 49ers fan?
But look, he's a 49ers fan. But look, here's what's even crazier. He's far from being alone. That's what's even crazier. Like, he's not a one-man wolf pack. There are people that tweet their thoughts every day, that call into our friends every morning, that tweet us every day, that say the same thing as TC, which is wild to me. There's a legion of people who are like, Kyle and John suck. They got Trey Lance hurt. They need to be fired.
I would understand all of that if the 49ers were 2-7 right now. I'd get it.
Thank you.
I'd understand TC and Grant Cohn and all of them. They'd all make complete sense. I got you. Can you let them fail first? Because they haven't failed with Brock Purdy yet. Now I'm not of the. I don't have the tat thing yet. I need to see more. I think there's a big difference, because does anybody have any questions who the guy is in San Francisco? There's no what ifs. There's no Jimmy. There's no Trey. I don't believe Sam Darnold is breathing down Brock Purdy's neck. Brock Purdy is Kyle Shanahan's franchise quarterback. I believe that label is a whole lot different than, well, we don't have Trey, we don't have Jimmy, our third string quarterback is Brock Purdy. Let's throw him. We got to throw him in there. We literally don't have another option.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of Brock did a fantastic job, by the way, not taking anything away from him. But those types of pressures are very, very different.
Yeah.
What he experienced last year and what he's about to experience for the first time in his career are very, very different types of pressure.
I don't disagree at all. Everything you said is 100% right. Kyle, we talked about this on Friday. I believe in Brock Purdy about as much as anybody since Colin Kaepernick. Once again, it's that eye test thing. When he's in, it just looks different.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this is the way it's supposed to look when he's in. He's got ones going up against backups. I understand all that, but it has never not looked different since I've been watching him play. 8 games, 2 preseason series or whatever. It's never not looked different. It's looked like it's supposed to look every single time.
Yeah, it's never super frenetic. And the thing is I could see like Brock Purdy last year on intermediate throws, 10 to 19 yards down the field, completed 80% of them. The next highest, this is like one of my favorite stats. The next highest was Deshaun Watson at 68%. The difference between those two is the same as the difference between Deshaun Watson at number 2 and whoever was at number 30.
Wow.
Like he was that much better than everybody else. So that's going to regress. I think that will regress.
Yeah.
But even if that regresses 12 points, he's still at the top of the league in that area. And that's a key area of Kyle Shanahan's offense. His interception luck was pretty good last year. So you expect that to change a little bit. Okay, so maybe he's throwing a few more interceptions. But they scored 33.5 points a game last year from week 13 on. When Brock Purdy took over to the end of the regular season, they averaged 33.5 points a game. They could average a touchdown less and still have a top 7 offense. Right. So even if he regresses, it doesn't matter if Brock Purdy is Patrick Mahomes or making Pro Bowls or not. If he is guiding an offense to between 27 and 30 points a game, the 49ers are going to win a lot. And that's their goal at the end of the day. So
that's Kyle Madson.
Yeah.
NinersWire.com. Candlestick Chronicles. I have it on good authority. We'll be hearing Kyle Madson again this week.
Oh.
Got a feeling we'll be hearing a lot more from Kyle.
Oh.
Kyle, appreciate you joining us.